Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Fake Chats. I'm your host, Andrew Burnett, and today I have with me Ken Abrahamowitz. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
Well, Ken, as a longtime advocate for Israel and Western values through SaveTheWest.com, what's your initial take on Netanyahu's dramatic pardon request today, framed as a way to heal national divisions amid wars with Hamas and Hezbollah?
Well, Netanyahu has been attacked by the deep state, very analogous to President Trump. And so he did nothing wrong, but he wants to get a pardon because the Israeli deep state and judicial state have been after him for years. And the reason they're after him is that he's honest. And the deep state and the judicial are corrupt. So they hate to have someone honest as prime minister, and they've been after him. But this is a witch hunt. So it's a good time to end the witch hunt so that Netanyahu, like any leader, can focus on his responsibilities as a leader. And so that's why President Trump has been involved in asking for the pardon. And we'll see if the judiciary goes along.
So, does this feel like a bold leadership move or a risky escalation of political theater?
Well, the way I look at life is you're always in a state of war, uh, whether it's physical war with bad guys outside the country or cultural war with bad guys inside the country. So, um, if Prime Minister Netanyahu can get this behind him, then he won't have the judiciary breathing down his neck all the time. So I think it's a good time for him to seek this, and it's a good time for Trump to pressure. In fact, I would suggest that Trump should step up the pressure on the judiciary. I think Trump should threaten to sanction all the corrupt judges involved in this witch hunt and sanction them and end their U.S. bank accounts. I think that might get their attention faster.
So, Netanyahu calls his corruption trail a deep state conspiracy by media, police, and judiciary elites. From your experience analyzing threats to democracies in the multi front war, how does this echo the eternal racial strife or institutional sabotage you warn about in America?
It's very analogous to America. Look, while the president here or the prime minister there is fighting what I call World War III with enemies that we can go through, I call them the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, the communists, the Islamists, and the globalists. Uh, each leader has one hand behind their back, uh, held back by the opposition or the deep state or the judiciary, depending on the situation. And it's very difficult to execute World War III when you have two hands in front of you, let alone when you have one hand behind your back. And so this is another form of warfare that our outside enemies use to encourage the internal enemies to hold back the leader from defeating the outside enemy. So it's very analogous between the two countries.
So, critics, including the Movement for Quality Government in Israel, argue a pre conviction pardon might make some of the citizens above the law and undermine equality. How might this play into the hands of political Islam propagandists who already portray Israel as hypocritical on governance?
Well, the outside enemies are criminals. So I don't really care what the criminals say. In this organization for a good democracy, what was the exact term you used for it?
Propagandists,
No, no, but they have an organization in Israel called Government for
the Movement for Quality Government.
right. Okay, so this, I believe, is a George Soros backed criminal organization, which is after Netanyahu. Remember, because he's honest, and so the criminals want to take over. Now, the reason the outside criminals and inside criminals are different. The inside criminals want to take over so they want to steal the money. Remember, whoever's the prime minister or president has a lot of money uh, at their discretion or to use for programs, and they want to steal that. So this is also bear something else in mind. Our outside enemies are afraid of Trump and Netanyahu. Our outside enemies are not afraid of most of the competitors to Trump or Netanyahu. So people have to look at it from the point of view of the bad guys. And the bad guys are afraid of Netanyahu. That's exactly why you want him to be prime minister. And that's exactly why you want him to be strong, because bad guys, it'll reduce the chances of war. When prime ministers or presidents are strong, the bad guys aren't as bold. When you have a weak president or a weak prime minister, the bad guys run all over them.
So Netanyahu's 2022 judicial reforms pushed during the trial sparked massive protest and are blamed by some for signaling weakness that emboldened the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attacks. In your view, could granting this pardon revive those divisions, or is it a necessary reset to refocus on external threats like Iran?
Yes, it's a necessary reset. And by the way, the judicial reform that Prime Minister Netanyahu was sponsoring was very, very, very modest. And the opposition uh, used it as an excuse to claim that there was dramatic revolutionary change undermining the judiciary. It was all baloney. And it led to a mini civil war, which led to cause Hamas to think that it could get away with murder. So it was actually the protesters in the deep state and the judiciary, in my mind, that caused October 7th. They're the ones who weakened the democracy, and they're the ones who encouraged the bad guys to pounce.
So, ironically, Netanyahu in 2008 demanded then PM Olmert resign over similar corruption scandals leading to his imprisonment. How, as a board member of pro Israel groups like the Israel Independence Fund, does this request risk Netanyahu's legacy as a defender of accountability?
Well, there's first of all, Omer was a crook. That was a different issue. He was part of the bad guys, and so he deserved everything that came to him. But secondly, there's a much bigger issue here. In America, you could not indict a sitting president. Now, after someone's president, then they're just a normal citizen. Israel does not have that rule. They should have the American rule that no sitting prime minister can be indicted for anything. Again, after he's prime minister or she's prime minister, yes, he's an individual citizen and subject to the same judicial recourse of a individual citizen. Israel has to change that immediately. Makes no sense to have a sitting prime minister under investigation for anything.
So Netanyahu argues the trial requiring three court appearances weekly distracts from leading Israel through its Mideast wars. Giving your warnings about unpreparedness for multi-front battles, is ending the trial a programmatic step to unify against Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran, or does it invite more eternal sabotage?
It invites more internal sabotage and external sabotage. When you have a leader and you're fighting a war like World War III or any war, you have to be strong and tough and focused. And if the prime minister has to spend 25% of his time on a phony, trumped up charges, then that reduces the time he can spend in fighting the enemies. So yes, the judicial system is a existential risk to Israeli national security. And that's why I say President Trump should sanction those judges. and say, we're not playing this game during wartime. You want to play games like this? Then you won't have bank accounts in America. Have a nice day. They'll change their minds in 3 seconds. And then the country can become a normal country where the leader is not under investigation while he is in office.
So, in his video statement, Netanyahu said the trial tears us apart from within and deepens risk, pleading for broad reconciliation. How does this eternal strife mirror the pandemics and racial strife fronts you describes in the multi-front war, and what lessons can America draw for its own polarized security debates?
Yes, both countries are polarized. By the way, it's typical of democracy, so it's not like it's unique to Israel or unique to America. And it makes it difficult for the leader to lead. And if the leader's going to do a good job against, I've identified that America and Israel are fighting 21 wars simultaneously. They're fighting the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, in other words, the communists, the Islamists, and the globalists, on 7 types of war: physical war, chemical biological war, cultural war, which is what we're talking about now, economic war, legal war, which we're also discussing now, demographic war, and cyber. So if you have 3 bad guys in 7 forms of warfare, each country is fighting 21 mini wars in World War III. Well, it's humans are only so capable. And to run 21 wars simultaneously is about all a leader can do. And to have to fight a phony court charges along the way, you can see how it reduces the ability to fight 21 wars simultaneously.
So, this request follows U.S. President Trump's public urging for pardon. As a venture capitalist with deep U.S. ties, how might Trump's intervention strengthen the U.S. Israel alliance against China and Russia, or does it risk perceptions of foreign meddling in Israeli sovereignty?
Your point's well taken. It's not great to have American meddling in Israeli sovereignty or American meddling in any democracy. But in this case, certain democracies are basically controlled by bad guys. In Israel's case, the judiciary, the Supreme Court, corrupt to the core. The attorney generals corrupt to the core. And Israel can't fix this by itself, and it needs American intervention. By the way, in Europe, Europe is dying. It can't fix itself. And I think Trump should actually be involved in intervening in England and France to save them from themselves. So I think it's okay for a good president to be involved in a allied country when the allied country is in the grips of a corrupt deep state.
So, finally, your book urges recognition as the first step in multi front defense. What's the one urgent action listeners, whether in Florida's pro Israel community or beyond, can take today to support Israel's stability amid this controversy?
Uh, well, there's 2 questions there, I think. What can the government do, and what can the people do? Now, in terms of the major challenge facing both America and Israel is that we're fighting a cultural war. A cultural war, by that I mean a war of words, of brains, of marketing. Uh, this is something democracies are not good at. Democracies know how to fight physical war or economic wars or cyber wars, but not a war of words. And so, what we the people can do is to learn more, be more educated, and join the cultural war, not with bullets, not with uniforms, but with words. Just as you and your audience, me and my audience, we're all cultural warriors. We have to fight with our words and fight for justice. And as a guide, we have to fight for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for everybody. And on a religious sense, we have to fight for the 10 Commandments. Those are the 2 guiding principles, among others, that I have. and we all have to do a better job. We the people and we the governments.
Well, Ken, thank you so much for your time. God bless you, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much for the encouragement. Great to be with you today.
All right. Have a great one.
Okay, thanks.